welcome back, listeners, to Cosmic Confluence, where we explore the mysteries of the universe and the magic within us all. I'm your host, Sana, as always, and today we are diving into the fascinating world of spirituality, alternative healing, and the transformative power of meditation. Listeners, my guest is the incredible Peggy Oberthier. She is a medical intuitive and channeler from Melbourne, Australia. And Peggy's journey is nothing short of extraordinary. From surviving a prison riot to unlocking her ability to channel light language and clear karmic issues, she is here to share her wisdom on mystical phenomena, past life karma, and the practical tools for healing and empowerment. So, with that, Peggy, welcome to the show, and I am so thrilled to have you here.
I'm so happy to be here. So thank you very much for having me.
Okay. So Peggy, before we talk about the topic, let's start with your story. I mean, it begins with a dramatic turning point, a prison riot that sparked your spiritual awakening. So, can you walk us through that moment and how it shifted your perspective from atheism to embracing spirituality?
Yes, well, it is quite a journey because I was definitely an atheist for almost all of my adult life after having gone through Catholic school, and then I studied university, I studied religion, and it really sort of blew open this door of there was all these other possibilities besides just Catholicism, and it confused me to the point where I became an atheist.
Mhm.
And I was firmly happy in that sort of stance of not believing in anything. It felt very simple. And what happened was I was working in a juvenile detention center as a well-being specialist. And I it was culminating in a bunch of different events prior to that, in terms of my safety level. So I was getting increasingly worried about the ability of the guards to protect us as teaching staff, as teachers. They were there to help with the students and the inmates. And so my stress levels were starting to rise. I was getting really sick. I was getting it was just my stomach was just in a mess. And so I was really in a physical mess. And then what happened was we had a boy smash out of a room. He broke all these windows. He busted it, all these boys broke out. And I had to hide in a closet because they were all brandishing broken chairs and tables and poles, and they smashed up the whole prison, and I was absolutely terrified sitting in that closet, wondering, "What am I doing here, and why have I got to myself in this point?" And I really actually felt quite scared for my life. Um, so it was after I left that day, I really fell into a heap, as they say in Australia. I was really in a crisis, and one of my friends suggested that I go and see this friend of hers who was a psychic. And I was the biggest skeptic. And I thought that she said to me that she was also a counselor. And I said, well, it can't hurt. And she sat and within, within 48 hours of me leaving this prison and going to see this lady, and she knew everything about me. And I thought to myself, how is that possible? But it was just at the right moment where I was searching and I was in a crisis point of needing to change my life around, I was working in this prison for 6 years in this constant state of stress that I really wasn't aware of how stressful it was until I left. And there I was opened to this whole world of psychic abilities, mediumship, and it just started from there. I needed to start a path of looking at healing my very stressed mental state. So I started to go down the path of meditation. And that was the only way that I could get my brain sort of calm for a few minutes of the day was a guided meditation. Well, fast forward a few years and I left the prison and I started studying Vedic meditation, which I really found powerful, and I could achieve these states of bliss and, wonderment very easily compared to some of the students that I was in this class with. And I was saying, "Aren't you experiencing that as well? I'm in the void." I like just it's something quite magical. So The meditation practice that I developed was directly as a result from this particular prison riot. So I don't know if you want to keep going, but I can continue on how I went from meditation to um, it took a few years, and of course in Melbourne we had a lockdown, which was a quite a severe lockdown during the COVID. It was almost 2 full years, and I I really upped my meditation at that point. But and it was all it wa I think it was just the time that I was able to be more still. We had a lot more time of being alone, that I was able to go even deeper in my meditation. And then all of a sudden, I'm starting to get messages. I'm having light beings sort of show up in these meditative practices. And to be completely honest with you, it actually scared me. But at the same time, because we had all of this time, I was listening to so many different podcasts, like very similar to your own. And I went down the rabbit hole of spirituality and all things quantum physics and past lives and past life regression and anything to do with channeling, mediumship. I was absolutely hooked because I was having these mystical experiences in my meditation. And of course, we were connecting with each other online. But I wasn't able to go to my meditation groups and feel that beautiful energy. So it was actually fortuitous because I ended up connecting with all sorts of other people online and then listening to many more podcasts than I would have because we were stuck at home. We had nothing else. I couldn't go to work. Um, so on my way through. So I've done the meditation, and then once COVID is finished, I started doing cranial sacral therapy sessions with this amazing lady in Melbourne. And in these sessions, I could feel this. I guess they would call it like a I had kundalini awakening experiences within these sessions where my heart felt like it was going to explode. I could sense these beings, these powerful presence, and she could see that as well. She said Jesus was there, Mary Magdalene, and I was blown away at the rapture and the love that I could feel connecting to these beings. So I'd go from having these incredible and I just have to go home and cook dinner for the family and pretend that that didn't even happen. So I went on this journey for a few years of just having these amazing experiences every time I meditated. I having these voices come through, and I just sort of turned them off until I had a 3 hour healing session with a super powerful medical intuitive called Patrice Christofiak. And by the end of that 3 hour session, he said to me, well, it was at the 2 hour mark, he said to me, Peggy, you are actually a medical intuitive as well. And I said, what are you talking about, Patrice? He said, no, you've got all the gifts. Your heart space is huge. You actually can see in bodies, and you're a transmuter. You can remove dark energies from people. You can see past lives. So he could see all of this in me. And I knew that I'd always had intuition, but I didn't know it was at this level. But what he did in this session was that he was able to help clear some of the blocks that I had for that fear of stepping into your gifts. He was able to clear some of the past lives. He was able to clear some blocks in my crown chakra. So I could then, and all of a sudden, all this information just started pouring in. So at the end of that session, he said, look, just send me a photograph and I've got a directory. And it was all free. He wasn't charging me or anything. He said, I'm just going to put you on the directory, and I've actually got a waiting list. I'd like to send you some clients. And I just said, what? You have to be, let's just slow down here a little bit, Patrice. Let me just get my breath on this one. So I actually convinced him to mentor me, and he ended up creating this small mentorship group that was all channeled. It was all sort of intuitively, divinely taught over the course of 6 weeks. And I just honed my skills. And that was in March of last year was when I had my session with him, and I haven't stopped since. So it is quite an amazing story. And then I guess I didn't realize I had all these gifts. And one of my major gifts that I have is this gift of transmutation, which I'm not really sure if you
I'm
understand.
not aware of that. If you can share and explain.
Well, There's people, so as a medical intuitive, there are some people that they get a full 3D picture of the body. And as they're scanning the body, they say, you have a tumor here in your liver, they get a full 3D picture. Now, I used to get quite a lot of visuals at the start, but I don't get them as much anymore because the information comes in faster when it comes in as a knowing. But not only do I see or I get a sense of knowing where a block is in the body, I have the ability to remove that block. And it's quite a dramatic, I guess, transmute. So, transmuting is the ability for somebody to, as a conduit, so my body
Mm.
tunes into your body, and through my energy, I guess my frequency is such that I hold a higher frequency and it helps remove. I have no proof for this scientifically whatsoever, except for people tell me they feel better when I finish. And I'm removing the blocks from the people. And so sometimes when this somatic reactions happen, now I'm not sure if your listeners are aware of, there's a movie called The Green Mile, which is a very famous Hollywood movie. I think Tom Hanks is probably in the 90s, and there's a character who is he's in a prison, and he grabs this mouse that has been crushed by one of the guards, and this mouse had been a friend of one of the other prisoners. He holds the mouse in his hand, and there's this sort of magical scene where he is holding the mouse, and the mouse is healing instantly, and there's vomit and flies flying out of the character's mouth. So it's that, um, that purging of the darkness is coming through his body as he's healing and fixing the mouse. So, in my experiences when I'm working with people, I do sometimes actually vomit actual matter when I'm shifting energy and darkness. So it's quite a visceral experience. And that, yeah, I guess that's my gift of transmutation and my gift of being able to pick up where in this lifetime or past lives where there might be some limiting beliefs or actual blocks um, in people's bodies. And then I just say, would you like to release it? And then it releases. And that's how I do it. I don't know if you have any questions about that, Sada.
So many, Peggy.
Okay. Go ahead.
And first of all, I mean, you mentioned something really, really, which personally I find it so beautiful is it's painstakingly beautiful that until we get out of that situation or that entire trauma, we don't realize that how much stress our body, our mind, are bearing. Uh,
Yes.
and also, the I guess it was your healing journey where, it kind of you let your emotions out. You felt that rupture within your heart and you just let your emotions out and you opened yourself to awakening, deep, profound awakening.
Yes.
These two specific, moments are very, very, resonating for me. And also, I would also like to ask you, Peggy, that two questions. When you got to know about counseling or something like this, I mean, before that also, when you were going through that ordeal, um, did you think like this is all I'm suffering because I never believed in in God or in higher power? This is
Oh,
why I am suffering because
yeah.
it happens to me also because yes, I do believe in God. I uh I have that hope that yes, there's a higher energy, higher power up there who is there to take care of me. But sometimes, I keep on cursing that
Of course you do. It's a human response, Sana. Look, it's the thing for me that the true power of a spiritual awakening is in the full surrender. And when I say full surrender, is that you have surrendered to the human experience that we have chosen. So, if there are challenges in your lifetime, and this is where I'm going to speak about karma, there are probably karmic lessons that you are you need to learn in this lifetime. So, for example, I mean, if you think I've had many readings done, and I got stuck in I was in the karma loop. I was chronically victimized and maimed and murdered. You name it, the way that I've died bad ways in past lives. But what I didn't let go of was the identity as a victim and suffering, and also the lack of forgiveness. So it's when we are attached to our suffering and attached to our victimhood, we haven't learnt our soul lesson, because this lifetime that we chose, if you can imagine, we are up there and we are choosing all the experiences, whether it is financial challenges, relationship challenges, physical challenges. We've actually chosen this as a soul. And the more that we resist what is placed in front of us, the more the lessons just keep showing up. So if you go back and you say, oh, I had this bad boss and I had that bad boss and I had this, oh, I just get bad bosses. The common denominator is you. And these people keep showing up in your lifetime because there are some lessons that you need to learn that you haven't learned yet. And when you master those lessons,
Mm-hmm.
that is when those things stop showing up for you. And it is so profound when it happens. And look, I haven't mastered this. And by all means, Sana, I'm still a normal human being. But there are many times now that I'm much more self-aware of what my reaction is and what's showing up for me, and how is that, how is that serving me? So, if in my old job, I had a boss that just, I just felt I didn't get appreciated. He just didn't value my expertise. I was understaffed. So I was working as a counselor in a high school, and, it was really the job of two people. And I just kept complaining and complaining and complaining. And one day I just realized that I was reliant on him to give me a raise so that I would feel good about myself and valued. Now, as soon as I let go of the attachment of that external recognition of self-worth, and our whole society is built like this. Western society, all societies. What am I doing? And what do I do is what my worth is, not who I am. And so I was constantly seeking for him to acknowledge me. And all I needed to do was sit actually and acknowledge myself and love myself. And I said to my husband one day, you know what? I'm going to let it go. I'm not, he hasn't given me the raise that I thought I haven't been made this lead teacher salary. And, I should be a lead teacher like all the other teachers, and my importance in school. I let it go. And I am telling you, and this is not an exaggeration, within a couple of weeks, he pulled me into his office, and this was better than I could have imagined. He said we got this $5 million. We want to give you a raise. So I got the same amount of money as the lead teachers, but then I didn't have to do all the horrible meetings that they go to. So in my surrender, I could never have even imagined that. How could I even have manifested that? I couldn't. I just let it go. And then, of course, as soon as I let it go, fully let it go, I said, you know what, I'm just going to go and do my job, because I actually really love working with students. And I was counseling parents at the time as well, delivering parenting courses. And when I did that, that's when the money came. And I was just walking out of that office laughing, going, thank you, universe. Now I get what surrender looks like.
That is
Yeah.
so beautiful. That is so beautiful. It's not like, that you are weak, because, some people will think, oh, that's just, because uh you aren't able to control the situation yourself. But what the beauty of here is, you are doing your job. You are being who you are, but you're not tied up or completely restrained by the results or the outcomes.
Correct.
You're just
Yes.
believing, okay, let me just do my work, let me do my job, let me work on building my company, or let me work on building, uh, working on my personal development, or my happiness or my joy. The outcomes I right now, let's not think about it, because when you start
Mhm.
think about outcomes and you kind of work according to those outcomes, I think it kind of gets you into that rabbit hole.
It
So
does. It really does. Because the universe likes to show us all sorts of different things from what we think is for our highest good. You see, and when if I can, and even as a so this, I'm going to give you an example on a very practical way. I actually work. I get a lot of healers that book sessions with me.
Mhm.
And they get sick, they carry on because what they're doing is when they're sitting with a client, they're very attached to the outcome of
Mhm.
healing someone. That it's like they have this need to save and to whether it's egoic or whether it's it's like there's a position of power. I'm the healer, you're the client. I'm going to fix you. It's like this really the dynamic is I really need to help this person so that they can refer their friends or whatever. As
Yeah.
soon as you get really attached to the outcome, you are actually going to take on energetically a lot of what they have.
Right.
So it's like the universe, it's you have to stay in alignment and you have to be a complete channel of just self-love and love in a and not attached to the outcome. And you just have to firmly believe that I'm just doing whatever I can for my highest good, which will be helpful for that person's highest good. Now, if I start thinking, this person, I wonder if they liked me or if they're going to book again, or as soon as that happens, I never get an email back. I mean, this is the beginning of my journey, right? And now I just go, that's it. I've done what I can. I know I'm always in my heart space. I do the best I can. And I let go of attachment. And when I do that, that's when then I can't get too attached to the emails that are saying, oh, you're amazing or blah, blah, because then I'm in my ego again. I have to stay out of that and just stay purely in my heart space. And it's the same for every single thing you do. I mean, I still have to do work. I still have to send emails and make sure I'm on podcasts so people know who I am. And I can't just sit back and meditate and dream that I'm going to, my business is going to be thriving. I have to also do work. So there's a combination of knowing and believing that you are doing a lot of stuff and then but not being attached to the outcome, because if somebody doesn't email me back, then I can't take it personally. I just know that it's divinely orchestrated to happen exactly as it's supposed to.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Absolutely makes sense, Peggy. That is beautiful. And also, when you were explaining about transmutation, you mentioned that uh, you during those sessions, the dark forces or the negative energies, you kind of give your clients um, a gateway to let those energies out.
Yes.
During those sessions, probably your energy is also encountering those dark energies. So, uh, do you feel that kind of heaviness or a negativity around that? I mean, does it affect you physically or mentally in some way or the other?
Oh, that's a really good question. So I don't look, I don't get physically, I do get very tired. So I actually I find the energy sessions very physically draining, but my soul and my heart is really happy. And so it's kind of like this, like to be completely honest, to be in full alignment and do exactly what I can for a client, I can only actually do one session a day. And that because I'm and not because I do move, I've been told by many different channelers and readers and people who see energy, I move a lot of energy in one session. And so I'm waiting. I keep waiting for my guides to upgrade me so I can have more energy. But I guess it's like a muscle. I just have to and I guess what happened, I was on a podcast and the whole headline was, entity removal. So everybody who's booked with me and they know, oh, I know I've got a demon and entity. I'll call Peggy. So I've had these really tough sessions for the last couple of months. But of course it's all meant to happen exactly like that. So it's all divinely orchestrated, and which is fine. And I've been given this gift, and I can't, if I have to rest, I rest. It's my mentor, he sleeps 14 hours a day because of the nature of the work. Um,
Mhm.
some people are sitting at a desk for 8 hours. I'm sitting at my desk for 4 and I have to sleep for 3, you know, which is totally fine, because it is but like I don't ever take it on. And it's only when you get out of alignment. Um, you start thinking, if also the other thing is I have to become completely new. I have to become very neutral and compassionately detached. So, because, and once we're in this, when we are sitting in the position that, again, we want to help, and from our heart is working with their higher self and their guides, I know that I'm doing the best I can for their highest good. But if I get too emotionally detached to the client and their story, then that's when I become vulnerable to taking on some of their darkness.
Makes sense. Makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's with everyone, with your loved ones or your friends and people who might be listening to this podcast who are energetically sensitive. Um, you go to a hospital, you visit your grandmother, she's sick, you feel awful for her and her pain and her suffering. So sometimes you feel quite heavy when you leave, and you might have actually taken something on because you are deeply compassionate, and some people don't even realize they have the capacity to take away people's pain. They're transmuters and they don't know it, but it goes on their own body.
Mhm. That's really, really interesting, Peggy.
Yeah. I encounter them all the time in my sessions. That's why I know. And a lot of the people who feel the heaviest is usually after, let's say they've had to look after an aging parent for 5 years in and out of hospitals, and hospitals are just full of wandering souls that don't know they're dead, and it's not like a and look, some people don't believe in this, and that's totally fine, but I guess I like to think of them as they're kind of like just they find these beautiful warm bodies are kind of like parasites, and they cling on to you, and sometimes they suck the energy from you that's not really that helpful. So hospitals, yeah, hospitals are full of stuff.
I absolutely believe in that. Absolutely believe in that.
Yeah. Yeah. I work with an ICU nurse who she comes once a month and I just clean her up. She's getting really better at it, but it's a hard job. It's a very hard job, 12-hour shift. But the interesting thing is that if you stay in a high vibrational state, so you don't allow your emotions of resentment, anger, frustration, and if you can stay in a high vibrational state, then you're less likely to have those, psychic attacks or the entities and those kind of things. It's very hard to do, when you're in a hospital and you're suffering and you're sad, and which is normal grief if you're dealing with a loved one. But having the understanding that, again, that parent, that grandparent, your partner, your child, their souls have signed up for that, that experience, that it could be cancer, it could be awful, it could be an accident. Well, that's the soul journey that those people have signed up for. So that really helped me when when to have, you can still be super compassionate, but you don't have to be completely, you know, um, overwhelmed with their suffering, especially as if you're an empath, you can separate yourself slightly by going, well, yes, their soul did sign up for that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And also let's talk about light language.
Oh, yes.
That's a fascinating concept, and you use it to help people release emotions and also heal.
Yes.
Exactly, it is, and how it works in healing sessions.
Well, the channeling, sorry, the light language comes through for me as a channeling. I so light language is a very interesting concept. It's basically, I don't know if your listeners are aware of what it is, but it's basically speaking gibberish. but it's the language of your soul, and it's what your soul wants to say. But you don't have to say the words. You can just speak it, and it comes out in this frequency, and it comes out in all different ways depending on who's coming through. So I might channel an actual message from an actual ascended master. They might come through, and then I might just have like an audible message for the client. But the fastest way for me to sometimes translate what of the frequency that is coming through is through light language, and it's my soul speaking to that person's soul. Um, and so that's quite an interesting concept, and it is if you can imagine, when you're staring at a baby and or a pet, and you're just going goo 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 gaga, and the baby just smiling back, and it's just the baby knows exactly what you're saying. You're saying, "I love you with all my heart," and that baby knows exactly what you're saying. So light language is very similar to that, in that if you set an intention behind it, so it could be, I'm going to set my intention to release this frustration from that's stuck in my neck, or this anger stuck in my throat, which is a lot of my clients have, or grief stuck in my heart. I get not only do I speak my light language, but I help clients connect to their own light language, this remembering, because every soul has this, where we've all done it before, where is a deep remembering of who we are. And once a client can connect to that, it's like putting a boost on it's like if I'm a vacuum cleaner and I put turbo on, that the energy releases so much faster when the client is speaking their own light language. Now, it can't be like there's some light language that comes out and I think, well, that's not real. It's not coming from their heart space. So it does take a while, and clients have to really drop into their heart. And sometimes it takes 2 or 3 sessions before they're ready for that. And sometimes there's so many blocks in the throat chakra from past life persecution, or from whatever it is that they just can't, or they can't get out of their head thinking this sounds too weird. Um, but some people use hand gestures, some people just hum. One lady just, she just coughed the whole session, but that was a big release for her. It was just how she had to get it out. So it's not a passive experience when you're working with me. I'm asking you to release, you're releasing, and I guess I'm like a cosmic vacuum cleaner, and you're kind of like a leaf blower in that you're trying to set the intention to release. And that's how the light language works. But I have messages that come through, frequencies of, quite a healing frequency, or it can sometimes sound quite angry if there's like an entity that I want to get removed. And then there's this beautiful loving frequency that comes through that usually after we remove the darkness, we want to fill up every cell of the body and all the spaces between the cells with the love and bliss, from all the divine guides. And that just sort of helps people, yeah, I guess feel calm. People cry, people laugh, all sorts of things that happen in my sessions.
I can absolutely understand that. Yes. And crying is such a powerful form of releasing that tension or that energy, especially during healing. Many people, they feel kind of, they um judge themselves, uh,
Yes.
high achievers, or the ones who think that no, they are very strong.
Yes.
But I believe that, it is such a powerful form of releasing that frustration. It feels so, so light because your energy is releasing that, tension. Your body is getting light, your mind is feeling lighter. So it's like
That's correct.
uh,
Yes.
sunshine after rain, clouds.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. That's a really good way to put it. Yeah. And I think our society, you know, um, and it depends on your family and your culture, etc. But, the way I grew up was just you weren't allowed to have feelings. It was just get over it. What are you talking about? Don't be weak. And, and so we learned to bypass those emotions because and then we shove them down, and they get caught in our bodies. And it's interesting because if you just allowed yourself to sit with that emotion, it would pass in 90 seconds. If you fully allowed it and recognized it and just went, yeah, I do actually feel angry about that. Oh, I've got this tension in my neck because of that horrible boss. And you didn't blame yourself. You just allowed it to be there fully and accepted it. And it would literally pass in 90 seconds. But we shove it down, we shove it down, we shove it down. And then it comes out as, oh, I've got this back pain or I've got this neck pain. And I see it. That's what I pick up on with clients. It's usually, the emotions that really get stuck in the body are the ones we're not really allowed to express. So guilt, shame, grief to a certain extent, sadness, anger, the ones that, and I say, oh, because I have this ability to pinpoint an age or a year of where there was a major event. So I'll say, oh, okay, I'm picking up there's like this fear stuck in the back of your head and you were 5 years old. And the client will say, oh, I don't remember. And then sometimes they do. Oh, I do remember. But, I said, look, you have to remember, it's usually something that you weren't allowed to express. And so I had this one lady a couple of days ago, and she emailed me because she couldn't remember. She said, no, I remember what it was. I said, look, it's like a terror and a fear, and it's stuck in the back of your head. I said, I feel like it was a bad dream or something you saw. Or anyway, she emailed me. She said, I remember my parents we all sat down and watched the movie The Exorcist. Now, I don't know if you're familiar with this movie, but it is the worst horror movie of the 70s and 80s, I think, in Western, and it's just the most horrific movie that anybody could would terrorize a child for life. But of course, because it was a movie, she wasn't able to process that fear because her parents are just saying, "It's just a movie, don't worry, it's not real." But her little body believed it to be real. And of course, that got stuck in her neck, and she had had neck pain her whole life, and into the point where she got migraines because she found it hard to sleep at nighttime, and she was still having nightmares. But she was connected to spirit as a young child anyway, so she had that extra element of seeing, ghosts and stuff, all caught in her body. Yeah.
Whew, okay. Well, I watch not all the conventional horror movies, but psychological horror movies.
Oh, wow.
And again, so this is a huge kind of weakness of me that I cannot sleep alone with
Ah.
off, because right from my childhood as well, we kept of horror movies as well, I and I tried sleeping alone once when I was like a kid. I kind of challenged my mother that okay, and I switched off all my lights, and that was it. That was the last of that. And
Wow.
still, I have like when I switch my lights off and I try to sleep, I'm not able to sleep. Either I have to play some song or something so that
Mhm.
okay, I'm not alone. There is a sound in my room or in my house, or
Yeah.
lights are switched on
And
because
you still watch psychological thriller movies?
I watch.
You do?
Yeah. I don't know
Well,
why.
it's very interesting. It's funny that people are quite drawn to, those movies, but they do have a charge to them, and they do affect our vibration and our overall vitality, and it does affect our heart space. So even from a karmic lens, and I haven't really spoken about karma, but from a karmic lens, if we're getting entertained by somebody else, by revenge, by somebody else dying, or what we get excited, we get drawn into these characters who say, yes, that man cheated on his wife, so oh, she's going to take revenge. Let's watch this. This is exciting. And then she does this slow process of like meticulously taking revenge on this lover that cheated to her. Well, our bodies and our hearts are getting entertained by people who are dying, by people who are cheating, by people who are taking revenge. And our bodies and our soul, like, we don't really know the difference between real and not real. It's still a vibration. Those are vibrations, right? So it does affect our heart space, and it does affect yeah, it does affect our stress levels for sure. And one of the things that, I tell clients that if you really want to help your vitality, I used to be totally addicted to English crime dramas. I'm not gonna lie. I watched all of them, and I loved serial killers and all that stuff. There's a lot of shows that I watched for 25 years, but I stopped watching them last year. And it certainly made I slept better and I felt better. But more importantly, my heart space, it, you know, you really want your heart space to be in this loving kindness, because then that is what shows up for you in the world. And it's a you've got to watch what you take in, because your body is a frequency. It's a vibration, and we are constantly bombarded every day with fear, with drama, outrage, jealousy, envy, all those lower vibrational emotions. And we can't really have vitality in our bodies if we are vibrating at those lower emotional levels. The vibration of love, compassion, joy, gratitude, that is what keeps our heart in this beautiful, synchronous rhythm. And it's just that, that's how we achieve vitality. So, I mean, like Buddhist monks and, people who go off and meditate, they don't watch any of that stuff. But you don't have to do that. You don't have to go off and meditate for 50 years or live in a cave, do you? You can find little pockets of joy and bliss even living in busy cities.
Absolutely. The same way all of these podcasts and shows and beautiful conversations with guests, they're kind of helping me to go on my own healing journey. So that's what I love the most about, the time I'm having right now, because a year back I didn't even know that I, would get on Zoom calls. I would connect with people across continents and time zones, and talk to them, speak with them, explore their journey, learn from them. I mean, it's again, once again, as you said, I surrendered myself. I thought, okay, let's just take this risk and let's see what happens. Let's see what happens.
Amazing.
Yeah.
It's amazing. Well, you know what? That you've got what you have is an openness, and honestly, the path to the path to self-discovery and self-love and mastering, spirituality is really a curiosity, isn't it? It's in an openness and allowing yourself to feel vulnerable. That is how you can master this earth game, as they say.
Absolutely. Oh, Peggy. Okay. So before we wrap up, so you are a mom, you are a former athlete, and as the spiritual powerhouse. So do you have any daily practices which you swear by to stay connected to your soul's purpose? I mean, how do you balance your everyday life with this deep spiritual work?
Yes, well, it's interesting. Because I'm off, my brain is, I'm off with the, I guess I'm in the zone for hours every day with my clients, and I tune in for an hour before, and for me to keep balance is I have to do the opposite. I have to do the basic 3D stuff. I love to cook, but I also love to ground. So being in nature, I'm absolutely blessed living in Melbourne, because even though I've got this Canadian accent, I have this. I'm surrounded by beautiful parks, and I can drive to the beach. It's a little bit far. There's no sharks there, thank God. So I get to swim in the. It's not the ocean, it's the bay in where I am, but it's clean. It's beautiful. It's a little bit cold, but that's actually how I stay balanced. I need to spend as much time sort of on the ground and connecting to nature. I listen to music, beautiful, angelic music, harp music, anything like that. And I connect with my family, and I keep it, and I like to exercise, and I like to walk, and I think those are the things that keep me quite balanced. And I do meditate as well, but again, my brain goes up, so I have to my brain goes out, like, I can connect so quickly what believe it or not, to help me become a very strong channel, the best thing for me to do is just to have my bare feet on the grass. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. That is wonderful. That is so wonderful. And yeah, I mean, music, walking, um, connecting with nature. Music, I mean, I I can listen to anytime. I mean, especially um having those nostalgic feelings, a few songs which will get you back to your childhood, um, you know, get you cherish those beautiful moments you had with your family in your childhood, something like that. Or, maybe, I mean, any kind of memories which I attach with the songs, or maybe that tune or the vibration or frequency of that song. I think, it really, really helps, of
Definitely,
make us feel.
definitely. Yeah, because it's important to it's not just good enough to say, "Oh, I'm grateful." You have to really feel those feelings in your heart, and that's I believe the power of music is that you can actually invoke that real sense of, gratitude of that memory of whatever it was, the birthday, the wedding, the first dance, a date that you might have had or whatever it is, or, being around family at celebrations. Yeah, those songs just have that deep sense of gratitude that is from your heart. And then that's actually quite powerful for your vitality.
Beautiful, beautiful, Peggy. So, unfortunately, before we wrap up, if our listeners would like to connect with you, it's the best way to do that?
Well, my website is very simple because my surname is so long. So I shortened it to peggyo.com.au. And I also have a YouTube channel, and it is Medical Intuitive at YouTube. And so I've interviewed people there, my mentor, and a whole bunch of people that I work with. And I offer one-on-one sessions, and I offer some groups as well. And there, it's all on my website.
Great. I'll make sure to have all the links mentioned in the show notes. And Peggy, this has been personally such an incredible conversation for me, um, episode for me. I'm very sure our listeners are taking a lot of takeaways from this conversation. And thank you so much for sharing your incredible journey, your wisdom, experiences with all of us. Thank you so much.
You're so welcome. I am very grateful for the opportunity to talk to your audience.
So, to all of my beautiful cosmic listeners, if you are inspired to explore your own healing journey, check out Peggy's work. I'll have all the links and details in the show notes. And also join us next time on another episode of Cosmic Confluence for more such beautiful cosmic conversations. Until then, keep shining your light and stay tuned for more such conversations. Thank you.